Alright guys, today we're working on an 86 300ZX. It's a non-turbo 5-speed car, GL. What we're doing today is we are doing a heater core. Yes, in these you do have to pull a dash. There's a write-up on my website, XenonZcar.com. But today I'm going to go ahead and do some recording here, show you what we have to do. Of course, first step, pull the radio and climate control. That's pretty simple. Just a couple nuts and bolts, and everything comes right on out. Just disconnect everything. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and pull out both of the kick panels on each side. That'll give us access to some of the ducting and a couple of the bolts that we need to get to the bottom bolts for the dash. So let me go ahead and get started on that, and I'll be right back. To get this kick panel off, we have 3 screws. We have 1, 2, and 3. So let's go ahead and pull those out. Alright, so the screws are out. What you do, just pull down on it. And then you have right here your panel light. Just twist and turn. It'll come out. And then you have your 2 vacuum lines. Stripe goes on top. Alright, from here we can access this screw here. This screw allows you to drop these 2 vents. This vent feeds air up to your driver's side door vent. This one here is your floor vent right here. It's just that single screw. Let's go ahead and pull that out. On your automatic climate control cars, you will have sensors in each of these. You'll need to disconnect those sensors. This is a manual climate control, so we don't have those sensors. Alright, now you can see we have more access to stuff. So there's 2 bolts here. And same thing on the other side. You can disconnect those. Those are the lower bolts for the center. You have this bolt here. There's a additional one on the other side in the same location by the glove box. You remove all of those. The other thing is these 3 connectors. Disconnect these. This is all your wiring, dash wiring. So go ahead and start pulling those out. Now, this connector here that's disconnected, this is that wonderful gas sensor light that Nissan installed that allows you to know when to service your oxygen sensor. So if you can read this tag, it's all about humanity. Try to get some light on it where you can actually read it. There you go, that might be better. You're supposed to disconnect these after 90,000 miles. Otherwise the light will stay on. Got those harnesses disconnected. I'm going to start pulling these other bolts out. Just like on the driver's side, we have 3 screws. Actually 2 screws on this side. 2. And go ahead and pull those out. Been apart once before because this ain't the factory screw.
It's all about humanity.
Again, twist to disconnect your light. Also take the lower kick panel off on this side to get access to the other connectors. This has 3 screws. And somebody already took that one out. Alright, again, you got your harnesses. This side only has 2. On your digital dash cars, you have 3. One, 2, and this one goes down to your ECU. You don't worry about this one. Next thing, glove box comes out. Do the glove box, you take out these 2 bolts, and there's 4 screws. 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4th one in here. Barely see it. Alright, last screw's out. Don't forget the light. Again, twist, and it comes out. So, now, here we are in the unit. This is where your heater core is. It's inside this box. So, you gotta take that off. This bar is coming out. This has to come out. We'll do that once we get the dash out. There's those other 2 nuts. And that one there. So, I'll go ahead and pull those out and we'll get to the top of the dash. You also have a nut here and a nut over here, or a bolt, you got to take off. See, the whole bottom of the dash is loose now. Alright, now that we have the bolts out of the bottom, we need to take these top vents off. As you can see, there is bolts down inside. To do so, these clips, there's 3 on the driver's side here on the pod, and there's about 8 on the other vent. I already pulled this one out so you can see the bolts. There's 3 bolts up top here. There's 2 more over under this vent. So let me go ahead and show you how we do this. Now you can see the one bolt. So let's go ahead and pull those out. They're 10 millimeters. All right, I now have all the bolts out. There's 5 total across the top, or 4 total across the top here. And if we look, the dash is loose. It'll come right out, but we have this big round thing called a steering wheel in the way. So to go ahead and get this taken care of, we're going to go ahead and drop the wheel. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect the battery. So let's pop the hood. Disconnect the battery. That way the horn ain't blowing. I have these somewhat loose. So that's disconnected, as you can see. We're actually going to pull a battery completely out because we have to get 2. I don't know how well you can see without the light, but you have to get to the heater lines. They're down in here. So let me grab the light. Down in there, you'll see the 2 heater lines going in. We gotta get to those. So this pitcock has to come off and have to get down in there. It's always not fun. So let's go ahead and pull the steering wheel cover off. Now 86 through 89, GLL has this triangular style. The GL, or this is the GL style. The GLL has the rectangle here with the buttons in. These come off exactly the same. You grab it at the top and give it a yank. Alright, I got the wheel off. You can see where the clips go. This here is a 19 millimeter. What we're going to do though, first things first, we're going to go ahead and break this free, and then we're going to mark the steering wheel. That way we go ahead and keep it in the correct position. So let's go ahead and pull that off. Easy as that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take my silver Sharpie. I don't know how well you can see it. I get the light. Alright, you can see my marks lined up. And at this point, it's just a matter of wiggling the wheel off. These 2 bolts, if this thing doesn't come off, there's holes here. You can use a wheel puller that presses on the hub here, on the shaft, and it will come off. For my purposes, I'm going to take the nut, put it back on about 3 turns. This way, when it does come off, it doesn't hit me in the face. Alright, wheel's loose. Take the nut back off. Don't lose the washer. Like that. I always put everything back on just so I know where it's at. Alright, now to get this a little bit easier access to pull this dash, because it is loose, but we still have, because this is an 84 through 86 analog dash, we have a speedometer cable we got to disconnect. 87 and up analog and all digital cars do not have this. They have a digital sending unit over on the passenger side shock tower or strut tower. So we have to get to this. Easiest way to get to this is drop the steering column. There's 2 bolts. I believe they're 14 millimeter, and they are buried. One there, and one underneath all this wiring. Let's go ahead and pull these out. All right, so speedometer is disconnected. Everything's still loose. We're gonna go ahead and pull this out. Dash is out. Now we can get to some of the other stuff. Here you can see the speedometer cable. To unclip it, there's a little clip here you gotta push down on right there, and it will unsnap. Now to the fun stuff. You gotta peel the carpet back a little bit here. There's 2 bolts. That'll take this panel off. Will give you a little bit more access to get the heat box out, which is in here. So let's get started. Okay, sorry I didn't film some of this, but what we did is there's 3 bolts over here, 2 bolts on each of these panels, 3 bolts over here, 2 bolts. There were actually 3 bolts for the steering up through the steering column here. You take those all out and the dash bar will then come out, and then you have down at the bottom here, let me grab a light. Barely see right there where this is. There's a Phillips head screw, and there's another one on the other side. Right there. Take them out. Make sure you got all the things off, and the air box is now ready to be pulled out once we get it taken care of on the other side of the firewall. Alright, like I said earlier, we have a lot of stuff to disassemble up front here. The heater pitcock, these heater hoses, just a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, we went ahead, we got the heater pitcock off. That is tangled up in my airline here. Right here. Bolts in right like so, and then the hoses connect. One hose here, the other here, up here. This one went there, but now we're ready to go ahead and start getting this pulled out. Alright, so the heater box is out. This is how far you have to go to get the heater box out of these cars. This is why it takes 8 book hours to do this. Come over here, show you the core, or the heater box. Alright, here's your heater box. I can see right there is where the leak was. Actually, I don't think it was the core. I think it was, yes, it is the core. Right here is where it broke. Broke on the end tank. Plastic end tanks on these. Here you can see all your vacuum actuators. This one here is when you select heat, it opens and closes the door. And on the side here you have all your vacuum actuators for your blend doors. Here's your defrost door. This is why it defaults to defrost when there's no vacuum. When you have vacuum, it closes. Here's your main blend door. Down here is your, you can see in here, that's your foot vent, floor door. They're all controlled. These pins here, they run down here are all little solenoids, electrical solenoids, and depending on where it gets signal, it'll go ahead and send the vacuum to open and close your doors. Everyone asks, there's the little switch that's on the driver's side kick panel on all the GLs that controls this little blend door here. So this line here is also goes to your vent, your switch. This line here connects up to your primary line going to your vacuum tank. I gotta go ahead and disassemble this, and we'll go ahead and get this core replaced.